Yes, people, how's everybody doing? Just back with a video, squad assessment time. Thomas Frank has obviously started the training. Players are coming back from their summer holidays. Frank will be assessing the squad, so I just thought, look, let me give my opinion on the squad and players who I think, I would rather Spurs, move on. Players I would think that there's I would like to keep. And I think Frank can get more out of them. And then there's players where I think, yeah, definitely must keep. So kind of three different categories. And guys, as I'm going along with this today, I'm going to do the defenders. Please give me your opinions on any of the players I'm talking about. Would you want to move them on? Do you think Frank can get more out of that player? And is there a player that we must keep? And this is just my opinion. I'm sure you will have your own opinions on the squad at the moment. So let's start off with the defence, and let's start off with the goalies. Vicario, he's not a perfect keeper. I think we could do better than him, but looking what needs to be done in this summer, I don't think it's an area that Spurs are going to address. I think it will be Vicario in goal next season. And look, he's a great shot stopper. He's got an error in him. He's a very passionate guy. Playing out the back can be a little bit iffy at times, but look, he's pulled off some good saves, and he's got us some points, but then again he has made a few errors. So it's one of them, really. Can we do better? Yes. I think we'll just keep him for now going into next season and see how he gets on under Thomas Frank, and if there's any improvement in his goalkeeping. He's not young. He's 28. He's not a young keeper. So look, he needs to do better. Probably a bit more consistency. When he's coming out to get balls from corners, crosses. Less of the flapping, but a bit more secure there. Let's hope with some improvement there. Then you got the understudy Kingsley, young keeper, 22 years old. We saw him last season. Again, there was some stuff I liked about him, but he's very, very raw, isn't he? There's a lot more work needs to go in with him and his game. A bit of an understudy to Vicario. Some people like him. Again, a young keeper. There's room for improvement there. And then we talk about Romero, right, guys? Divides opinion in the fan base. Some people say on his day he could be one of the best around. Is that consistency that we need to see with Romero? And also, I think the injury record doesn't help him as well. Suffers, picks up a lot of injuries. If you look at his kind of games he's played over the last few seasons, always picking up injuries. Under Ange, was that because of the system? We play with a high line, possibly. But he's a bit injury prone. Then there's the whole attitude thing with Romero. That does he really want to play for Spurs anymore? He was fantastic in that Europa League final. I totally understand why people rate him. He's great at playing out from the back. He gets stuck in. He's a bit reckless at times. But on his day, he's fantastic. I'm not too sure if he's going to be moved on, to be honest. As the club are putting on a big fee on him. I think if he was going to be going, I think he would have been gone already, or there'd be more kind of clear-cut talk. So I think Romero will stay. For me, I'm unfussed either way if he stays or goes. I think Frank can improve him as a defender. I think Frank will bring in structure to that defence, and I think we'll see a bit more consistency from Romero. With the injuries, you just don't know, really. If there's another season of injuries, then and his contract's coming to an end soon, isn't it? I think he's in the final 2 years. So if Spurs are really going to sell him, they need to sell him in this window, and we'll see what club comes in and matches the price. And then, this is what I mean. The club got to make a decision. Are they going to keep him? They're going to sell him. If they're going to keep him, best off offering him another contract, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up losing him for much to nothing the season after. And in the worst case scenario, you leave him on a free, which no one wants. So look, Romero, I think, let's see what he does under Frank. I would keep him. But if he went, I wouldn't be that upset, to be honest. I think we've had better defenders at Spurs over the years. Let's move on to Mickey van der Ven, a player that Ange loved in his system with the high line. Sprinter, fastest player in the Premiership and all of that, coming back, making those last-ditch challenges. There's question marks over his heading in defending. I think he's good on the ball. We've seen him score a goal. We see him maraud up that field and create attacking opportunities from centre back. Amazing stuff. I think there's more to come from Van de Ven, and I think Frank, under his coaching, he can really push him onto another level. I think it'll be good to see Van de Ven defending his goal a bit more. This silly high line is now over. So I think yeah, Van de Ven for me is definitely someone I think we should keep. I think it's somebody that he can improve. He's still so young, right, guys? He's 24. So he's not even in his prime. More to come from him. I think he's definitely a player to keep. And I would probably put him more in the kind of must-keep range. I would definitely think that. Then we move on to Porro. Porro, I love Porro. I mean, in an attacking sense, his passion, creativity, his crossing, is the way he strikes the ball, scores goals, creates chances. Defending can be a bit suspect at times. I think it's more suited as a wing-back. We see Frank play with that, don't we, with the wing backs and the system that he plays. So Porro definitely, I think, is a must keep. More to come from him, I think, you know, with the defending, but I think with a better system, but how Frank will set up the team, it will protect him more. A bit more coaching going into his defending side, but definitely, yeah. He's a player, you know, I think he's a must keep. A Doggy as well, another one who kind of dropped off a bit last season. I think he's better off as coming on the outside, attacking fullback and a wing back or a left back. Again, defensive can be a bit dodgy at times, but I think again with coaching in there with Frank, I think he can improve. I think we can see a better Doggy next season. And we can get the most out of him, driving up that field, taking on his defenders and whoever he's up against on that left-hand side. You know, he scored a couple of goals. Again, I think a player we must keep. Is he the best left-back? No. Can he improve? Definitely. So I think he's a must-keep. And then we go across the other centre-backs. We have like Danso, Radu. You know, both defenders, they love to defend their goal. Again, if they put in a good system, I think, you know, they're good defenders. Radu's still young. Like, Radu is 23. I think, you know, obviously we're not going to see him until, you know, after the first part of the season. I think Radu is a player that can improve. I think, again, in playing in the right system, defensive structure, I think he's a good defender. Is he good at playing the ball out the back of Romero and Van de Ven? No. But his strengths are kind of defending that box. And you need players like that. And Frank likes players, tall players, strong players, set pieces, defending the goal when we're defending set pieces. And I think Radu's got more to come. And then you've got Danso as well. So you've got plenty of options there, especially the right centre-back. I think Danso, there were some good signs from him last season. They re-signed him on a permanent deal now. Again, a good defender, not fantastic on the ball, strong. And again, I think there's a player, you know, who can play. So I think we should, you know, we've already decided, so it's not going to be a decision on selling him. So, you know, we must hope that he improves next season. When's he going to play? There's going to be plenty of games. And obviously Frank is clever with his squad rotation. I think, yeah, he'll have plenty of minutes. Radu as well. So you've got plenty there, plenty of options. Then you know you have the young centre back Vuskovic coming in, joining the club officially. I do not think he'll get a lot of game time, so I think he's probably best out going on loan, but definitely one for the future. Very highly rated. A lot of people talk very highly about the player. So much potential. He's 18 years old, so I think a loan for him this season to see how he get his development. Hopefully in the either in a kind of possibly maybe Championship, low end Premier League, possibly. So yeah, one for the future. Definitely. Ben Davies signed up for another year. I would have moved him on, but you know, his experience, been at the club very long. Frank said to keep him. So look, you know, what can we do here? I would have definitely moved him on. Then we've got Ashley Phillips as well. I've hardly seen him. What's going to happen with him? Is he going to be part of the first team squad? Is he going to be cover at centre back in the squad at Van de Ven? I don't know. Frank will have a look at him. And you know, look, a decision needs to be made on him. What we're doing with him? He's been loaned out. I don't think there's been fantastic reports about how he's been getting on. But again, you know, is it a player Frank can improve? He's got the height. Definitely got, looks like he's got all the attributes, but you know, he's kind of career stalled a bit at Spurs. And look, I really don't know about him. Maybe another loan, or guys, I don't know. I really don't know. I see what Frank thinks of him. I think maybe he can play on the left. Let's have a look. What kind of... I think he's right-footed, left-footed. I'm not too sure. I'd have to have a look into it. But look, going back to the full-backs, we have Spence as well. I think there's more to come from him. Showed some good signs last season. Cover for a right-back and cover a left-back. I think Spence has got to be motivated, isn't he? He's got to have a manager who believes in him, and then you get the best out of him. Again, I think it's important to us. I think it's keep him. I think Frank can get more out of him. He's got pace. He likes to attack. He can get back and defend. Yeah, definitely a player that I think is important to the squad, covering those fullback positions. So again, you know, all these defenders, you know, I'm quite happy with. Of course, we'd all love to go in and upgrade those defenders, but I think with Frank, I think he can get more out of them. Let me just make sure I've covered everybody in that kind of back line before I end the video. Let me just double check. I just want to make sure I've covered everybody. I think that's it, guys. I think that's it. And obviously there's that potentially that new centre back we're signing. It hasn't been made official yet. And the Japanese guy, what's going to happen with him? Is he going to be involved in the first team? I don't know. We can't keep all these centre backs. Obviously, if we're playing three at the back, and if Frank decides to go with that, we're going to need more centre backs in the squad. But look, I mean, you know, the defensive options. I think we need a left-sided player, somebody who can cover Udogie. 100% we do. You know, but there was talk, you know, I was on the show last night with Sava and the guys talking about Robinson. There's been a link as a fantastic fullback there. I heard there was 10 assists last season from left back. A player who can attack, defend, definitely would challenge Udogie for that first team spot. I think that would be a really good signing. I don't know if it will happen. I'll probably ask quite a lot of money for him. But we do definitely need another left back, I think. Coming into this side, we've got all them games. You know, people talk about, well, Spence can play there, but I'd much rather see Spence try and fight Porro for that right back spot and kind of switch up over matches. You know, obviously when you can't play every game, so you know, mix up that spot on that right back between Porro and Spence. But yeah, left back definitely. Guys, give us your thoughts on the kind of my assessment of the defence. What do you think? Was that fair, my assessment? Are you kind of thinking that, you know, like, obviously Frank's going to bring in, you know, a better system, a defensive system into Spurs? Do you think these players will get better? Or you don't rate them? You might not rate them particularly. You might want better. You might want us to go out into that transfer market and improve what we have, and maybe decide to sell a few of those names that I mentioned. Guys, give us your thoughts, give us your comments. As you do, please smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'll be back later this week for the midfield assessment, and then I'll do the forward line. Yeah, just a bit of fun, guys, isn't it? Like, you know, talking pre-season and as all the players come back. So anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, come on, you Spurs.